Thank you. I really appreciate the privilege of the podium for just a few minutes here as I'm able to introduce our president of the Central Surgical Association. And I just have a few minutes to really talk about this outstanding individual who has had an exemplary career that we all admire. And as I thought about it, these are some of the characteristics that I think are important to Ron, and I may have them in the right order, I'm not sure, but I know he has dedicated himself to being an outstanding husband, father, surgeon, educator, and we'll learn more about research, but he's been an academic surgeon, and he's also a dog dad for sure. So I want to thank Paula, his wife, for some of these pictures that I have today. Who wouldn't love a precious baby picture like this? And on the right is Ron and his older brother, Alan. And in his early years, Ron grew up in New York, in a small town, and in Gastonia, North Carolina, with his brother, Alan. Not surprising to me, he was an Eagle Scout and valedictorian of his high school, and he's had quite an academic pedigree, graduating from MIT with a bachelor's and a master's in chemical engineering before going to Yale, where he received an MD and PhD in molecular biology. And then he did do his residency at a premier residency program at Duke, before he started his career. This is, I think, his MIT graduation photos, but especially the one on the right. This is his true college graduation photo from MIT, sporting a good look. And this is beginning his surgical residency on the left and finishing at the end, and not too much worse for wear, despite being on call every other night, as it used to be in that era. What about his surgical career? He's really an outstanding endocrine and breast surgeon. He started his academic career at Stanford and became a tenured professor there before moving on to Thomas Jefferson as vice chair of surgery, and finally ending up, as he currently is, at the University of Iowa as the Crowell Chair since 2005. Along the way, he was able to obtain a Wharton MBA, and he's been incredibly successful in obtaining multiple R01 grants, which I'm sure we're going to hear the value of that in his upcoming address. I thought I would put together some of the contributions that he's made to the literature, many basic science contributions, but also leadership in surgery and white papers on education and inclusion. So he's had quite a valued and varied contribution to the surgical literature throughout his career. These two pictures I particularly like. The one on the right is when Ron was still single and being a dog dad to Gracie there. And the one on the left, I think, is very cherished by his wife, Paula. It's the one she keeps in her wallet. So it's a very special picture to her and to us, all of us, as a result. So I think Paula's an outstanding person to be talking about when I talk about Ron. She was actually in the semiconductor capital business in California when they met. And they met walking their dogs. That's why it's the true story of Chumley and Gracie, Ron's dogs, and Peggy and Dally, Paula's dogs, where they met on a Christmas tree farm in January. I don't know what you're doing at a Christmas tree farm in January, but it did lead to what I call a whirlwind romance that, I don't know, might be somewhat out of character, but between January and June, they met, dated, and eloped and married. So that is the story of his romance and love affair that's been ongoing. And this is a picture of their elopement, I guess. And they have 4 wonderful children. I love that picture on the upper left. I hope that child is okay, laying down up there. But Ron is certainly a family man, and this is a precious picture from the Iowa State Fair, which I'm sure everyone should go to. And he has wonderful kids, Gabriel, Carly, Isaac, and John, all having their ice cream with Paula. And this is the most recent picture of very successful kids who are very close to their dad. And of course, there's a dog. So he certainly has been a leader in surgery. He's been chair since 2005, which in and of itself is a great accomplishment. He was just recognized as president-elect of the American Surgical Association. And I know his residents remember him fondly for the steaks he cooks on the grill. I guess he has some unusual birds and he loves orchids. But I think the most telling quote that I received from one of your trainees was that all the residents love working with Dr. Weigel. He treats us as capable equals in the lab, in the clinic, and in the OR. And I can think of no higher praise. And this is a group of recent graduating residents. So, of course, I had to ask, what does GPT say? I didn't get the TrueCrowd Award for AI, but I said if I wanted to make sure I said something inspiring about Dr. Weigel, what would they say? And there's a lot. And I would just highlight, as you read through this, how his humanism, his education prowess, and his ability to connect with patients as a surgeon are as outstanding as all of these academic accomplishments. So with that, with Paula and Ron and another dog, I invite you to greet our president, who will talk to us about research training as an integral part of surgical resident education. Ron?